Hello everyone, my name is Julien Moulin, I am a French tutor and a language coach, and today I'm going to teach you the most important thing you need to learn if you want to become fluent in French traveling to France. Is my accent disturbing you? Wait, I have a solution. Just sit back, relax, and do just like me. Ah, the best drink in the world. One glass of that every day and you live longer. Alright, is that better now? I'm sure a lot of people learning languages also find it easier to speak after a few drinks. So as I said, sit back, relax, let go, be happy, and let's learn French. Okay, one of the things you'll notice if you go to Paris to learn French is the fact that it's pretty difficult because everybody replies in English. And most of the time, the intention is not bad. You know, they see that you're struggling and they want to make you feel comfortable. Although I have to admit that there is a bit of a selfish motivation too, because it's also an opportunity for them to practice English. But I know they do that even if you're desperately trying to speak French, and I understand that it can feel frustrating or even insulting because you took the time to learn all these sentences, and you might feel like they're just disrespecting all that effort. Donc s'il y a des Parisiens qui regardent cette vidéo, la prochaine fois que vous rencontrez quelqu'un qui galère un peu à parler français mais qui fait l'effort, lâchez un petit waouh, c'est génial, parce qu'il y a un peu de renforcement positif là, ça fait toujours plaisir, vous êtes pas d'accord? Sometimes I even hear stories about French speakers, like my friends from Quebec in Canada, going to France and people replying to them in English. Now, what the f***, man? There are different contexts, and the first one is when the other person doesn't even realize that you're speaking French. So today I'll give you a few weapons to fight back in this kind of situations, okay? But that being said, it's absolutely okay to have an accent. Everybody has one, so don't feel bad about that. On the contrary, you should be proud of where you come from.
America is the best country in the world.
Well, without necessarily look down on others, why does it always have to be a competition? Let's all live in peace, drink wine and be friends. By the way, isn't America a continent? Anyway, sometimes people genuinely don't understand because they're not used to different accents, so no one is to blame in this situation. However, you can simply insist on the fact that you're speaking French. Je parle français. Je parle français. Je parle français, which means I speak French. If you want to put a little bit of nuance here, you can say Je suis en train de parler français. Je suis en train de parler français. Je suis en train de parler français. Which literally means I am speaking French as opposed to I speak French. So the nuance is exactly the same as in English. When you say I speak French, you want to emphasize on the fact that you have the capacity of doing so. But if you say I'm speaking French, you're obviously lying because you're in fact speaking in English, right? In terms of grammar, it's very convenient to remember être en train de faire quelque chose. Être en train de faire quelque chose. Être en train de faire quelque chose, to be doing something. Il est en train de manger. He's eating. Nous sommes en train de jouer. We're playing. If you want to sound proper, you should make the liaison. Je suis en train. Je suis en train. Je suis en train. But it's alright not to. And if you want to sound even more French, je suis becomes suis. And there is no liaison. Je suis en train. Je suis en train. Je suis en train. Je suis en train de parler français. Je suis en train de parler français. And you can add a little la at the end, which literally means here, but in this context, it's like an emphasis. Je suis en train de parler français là. Je suis en train de parler français là. Hopefully, the person will understand the message and you can continue in French. You can also say j'apprends le français, which means I learn French. J'apprends le français. J'apprends le français. I'm sorry, there are a lot of R's. You'll have to train and get used to it, but don't force it. It's always better to have a light j'apprends le français rather than a fake exaggerated j'apprends le français, right? Also, I know that in English we say I learn French and not I learn the French, but don't forget le in French. J'apprends le français. J'apprends le français. And quicker, j'apprends le français. J'apprends le français. Now, can you guess how to say I am learning French? That's je suis en train d'apprendre le français. Je suis en train d'apprendre le français. Or more casually, je suis en train d'apprendre le français. Are you guys repeating after me? It's a very important part of learning, you know? So another practical one you can use is je veux parler français. Je veux parler français. Je veux parler français, which means I want to speak French. Je veux, or more casually, je veux, is something very useful to express your needs. Je veux. Here, you can say je veux parler français or je veux parler en français. Je veux parler en français. Both are correct. Don't ask me why, I guess we just enjoy seeing you struggle learning our language. If you want to sound more sophisticated, without being posh, you can say j'aimerais parler en français. J'aimerais parler en français. J'aimerais parler en français. It's the same nuance in English when you say, I would like to speak English as opposed to, I want to speak English. Same with Spanish when you say, quiero hablar español as opposed to, me gustaría hablar español. Man, this wine from Bordeaux is really good. Okay, let's take it to the next level and ask the favor in the most natural way. In English, you would ask, can we speak in French? And according to the standard, that would be, pouvons-nous parler en français? Pouvons-nous parler en français? And you can add s'il vous plaît at the end, which means please. Pouvons-nous parler en français? S'il vous plaît. Pouvons-nous parler en français? S'il vous plaît. Pouvons-nous parler en français? S'il vous plaît. If you go to France, you'll notice that we don't use nous that much. It sounds way too formal. Instead, we use on, which has the same root as the impersonal one in English. One speaks in French. And that makes peut-on parler en français, s'il vous plaît? Peut-on parler en français, s'il vous plaît? Peut-on parler en français, s'il vous plaît? Literally, can one speak French, please? Which sounds weird in English, but trust me, it's the most natural way. I love it, and I would personally be impressed. That being said, it might still sound formal to some people. Reverse the position of the words and say, on peut se parler en français. On peut se parler en français. So you see, peut-on becomes on peut. On peut se parler en français, s'il vous plaît. But like in many languages, just by changing the intonation, you can make a question out of it. On peut se parler en français? On peut se parler en français, s'il vous plaît. On peut se parler en français, s'il vous plaît. There is another way that's as natural. It's adding est-ce que at the beginning. Est-ce que? Est-ce que? Est-ce qu'on peut se parler en français? Est-ce qu'on peut se parler en français? Est-ce qu'on peut se parler en français, s'il vous plaît? The est-ce que form is indeed very useful, and every time you hear it, it means that it's a question. You don't want to know what it means. Oh, you do? Well, literally, est-ce que means is it that? Est-ce que? So, for example, like J-Rock used to say, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Well, in French, that becomes, est-ce que vous comprenez ce que je dis? Est-ce que vous comprenez ce que je dis? Est-ce que vous comprenez ce que je dis? Is that you understand it that I say? So yeah, don't think too much and just remember that est-ce que means it's a question. The last one is probably the one I would use because of my personality. It's ça vous dérange si on parle français? Ça vous dérange si on parle français? Or si on parle en français? Ça vous dérange si on parle en français? Ça vous dérange means does it bother you or do you mind? Do you mind if we speak French? So here you go, guys. If people reply to you in English, try one of these sentences. Je parle français. Je suis en train d'apprendre la langue. Je veux parler en français. J'aimerais parler français. Peut-on se parler en français? Ça vous dérange si on parle français? If they don't want to speak to you in French after that, bring them to me. Alright, good luck!